Hello everybody, my name is Axel and welcome to Trails of Cold Steel 2 Debrief. So much like the first debrief we did for Trails of Cold Steel 1, there will be spoilers here. I will try to minimize them, but they're there. Okay, so Trails of Cold Steel 2 immediately follows the events of Trails of Cold Steel 1. There is a 1 month gap between them, but in essence, the revelations that happened in the first game still continue to plague the second game, and of course, that means that the Soul Dots are now the main powerhouses of the army, and most of our attention as Class 7 are focused on the eastern part of the Empire, and aside from attempting to reunite with all the members of Class 7, we also get the chance to recruit other Thor's military students, with our ultimate goal being the recapturing of Thor's military academy and the town of Trista. So, when we last left the first game, Class 7 was soundly defeated by the now revealed Big Bad Crow. The introduction of the Divine Knights drastically altered the balance of power between warring factions, between the provincial armies headed by the nobles and the Imperial Army headed by the Chancellor. The struggle here in the second game boils down to the Noble Alliance, which is currently the big bad organization for this game, attempting to reclaim the rightful places of the nobles as the supreme rulers of the Empire. They are dissatisfied with the Chancellor having too much power within the Empire, Imperial capital, and within the jurisdiction of the railway system, which the Chancellor has expanded aggressively. So, as we all saw in the first game, the civil war that started here began with Crow's assassination of Chancellor Osborne. So a lot has happened after that, and after Class 7's defeat in Trista, they all got separated from one another. So we head back towards Turin, waking up in the mountain range near his hometown of Ymir. He was rescued by Toval, a guest character from the first game, and his sister, Elise, and Princess Alfin. The three of them escaped the capital before it was captured by the Noble Alliance, and they made their way back towards Ymir. So after regaining his bearings, Reen pondered what to do, but his thought was interrupted by the appearance of a magic knight. The same magic knight he faced while heading down towards Ymir. Remember, in the first game, mysticism has started to play an active role. So, the magic knights are just one of the few manifestations of it, so yeah. So after dispatching this magic knight, on their way back, Reen, Toval, and Elise witnessed the burning of Ymir by Jaegers. Jaegers are mercenary groups who do the bidding of their employer, which in this case is Duke Alberea, Eustace's father. And their end goal here is to capture Princess Alfin, because she and Prince Olivert are the only members of the Imperial family who are not within the grasp of the Noble Alliance. With Elise and Princess Alphen kidnapped, this prompted Reen to continue on with his journey in an attempt to reunite Class 7. So that's the beginning part of the story. So during the travels, he managed to reunite with Class 7, but at the same time, he managed to recruit the other students of Thor's military academy to be the permanent crew members of their airship, the Courageous, or as the Noble Alliance calls it, the Crimson Wings. So, yeah, once you reunite with everybody here, yes, you will have a tender moment with your dance partner from the first game. In my case, it was Alisa. And yeah, you get to discover what they were up to in the 30 days that you were apart. So, yeah, as I mentioned, once you've reunited with Class 7, especially use this because he does not approve of what his father did in Ymir, but he is staying on in Bareyahard, their family holdings, because nobody is watching the welfare of the people. He does not agree with the Noble Alliance, but he is staying on because he doesn't have other choices available to him and he wants to take care of the people in Bareyahard. With the appearance of Reen and his group, a third option was provided to Eustace, which allowed him to leave Bareyahard and join the Courageous crew. So, yeah, this part of the game, the second game, really explores the other characters who didn't get enough spotlight in the first game, shall we say. For example, in the first game, barely any backstory was made to Emma. Yes, of course, I did not spend as much bonding time with Emma, but still. And Fee, we did get a glimpse of a little bit of Fee's backstory, like that she was a former member of a Jaeger group called Zephyr. But in this game, more of the spotlight were pointed at them. We discovered that Emma is a member of a witch clan called the Hexen clan. So their rogue member, Vita Clotilde, is the one who introduced the mysticism part of the chaos engulfing Erebonia. And Fee's Zephyr past were explored further, not only through the bonding events, because bonding events are back again, but because two of the powerful monsters of the Noble Alliance are from Zephyr. So yeah, we also got introduced to Altina, who seems to function the same way as Millium, but they do have a different types of personality, wherein Millium is spunky, perky, and cheerful. Altina is more like a blank slate. So a lot of interactions here, and I mentioned Vita Clotilde. She is a member of Ouroboros, and Ouroboros has other powerful members like McBurn, Blue Blanc, the Phantom Thief B in the first game. We also got Duvali, the Swift, the female knight lady with the awesome voice actress.
He is unbelievable! This is why I hate working with him!
And yeah, they're all led by Rufus Albareya and Duke Cayenne. So yeah, and later on we discover that Duke Cayenne's plan goes further than reinstating the power of the nobility, when he intentionally tried to awaken a great power, almost akin to the Divine Knights of Reen and Crow, but this one is called the Crimson Calamity, and it nearly destroyed Heimdall or wiped out a lot of the residents in the area. Yes, I guess we're done with the story and the characters here. Also, I have a rant here, a really small rant regarding the Black Records, because this is a really good source of lore wherein it explored the time before the Septian calendar was instituted. So, yeah, let me just show you. I managed to find a save file and use it so that we can view the Black Records part here. And this is where Instructor Thomas shined. And yeah, I am very worried about Instructor Thomas and the role of the Septian Church in the overall conflict here in Erebonia. So yeah, here. Let me just show you the Black Records part of the story. Alright, so here we are. I managed to get a save copy wherein we have access to the Black Records. So yeah. As I mentioned in a previous video, I already watched this, but I guess it would be better to do this part again so that we can get some sort of fresh perspective and I can properly react to what Instructor Thomas is saying. So yeah, we're supposed to read this, then we'll talk to Instructor Thomas. Hello. And that's Rosine.
My, who would have imagined even more marvelous mysteries still lurked within the old schoolhouse? What a delight! Why, I can hardly stop myself from heading in there to take a little peek.
That might not be the best idea right now. There's no telling what could happen in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest you take a hard pass on that.
Oh, come now, I was only kidding. I wouldn't dream of rushing in to steal the thrill of discovery for myself.
Yep.
But, all joking aside, I take it you finished reading those deciphered passages from the Black Records I gave you, Reem?
Yep.
Huh?
Deciphered?
Well, sure, I looked through them, but why do you ask? And what's Rosine doing here anyway?
Well...
Questions, so many questions. Please, allow me to elucidate.
Yep. I know of this.
What's going on? This is just like when I called out to Valimar that first time.
So is the church somehow related to the Divine Knights?
To put it simply, I've created a partition of sorts.
Kinda unsettling to see Instructor Thomas with those eyes. You know, focused, determined.
The three of us standing here within are the only ones who can even sense it.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, those outside remain blissfully unaware of its existence.
Yeah, see? There's a lot more to Instructor Thomas than he lets on, so...
I'll admit, for a moment there, I was worried that Emma and Celine might have noticed something amiss. But it seems I've still got the touch.
Just who the hell are you? And you too, Rosine. Why are you wearing your habit all of a sudden?
Starting off with the basics, I see. Perfectly fine by me. Who the hell am I indeed?
There, see?
My formal ties are to the Septian Church, as a member of the Gralsritter.
Yeah, we haven't heard a peep from the church ever since the war started, so...
Second among the Dominion, in fact. I stand at the right hand of our leader, and am known by some as the Partitioner.
See, he's holding some sort of a very high rank within the Dominion, whatever that is.
But you already know my real name, of course. I've never hidden that from you. I am and shall always be Thomas Lysander.
I'm a squire, tasked with supporting him in the execution of his duties. You could say I'm an apprentice knight of the Grouse-Ritter.
What? Hold on. What? The Grouse-Ritter? Do they have something to do with the Congregation for the Sacraments Scarlet was talking about?
Yep.
That they do, Reen. We're a secret sect of the congregation, an unseen face. Our organization's existence isn't known to the wider world, nor should it be.
Now see, why? Why though?
Our primary purpose is to gather and seal away dangerous artifacts.
Who classifies them as dangerous, and why do you need them to be sealed?
But every once in a blue moon, it becomes necessary to undertake covert operations like this one.
So overtly, the church isn't doing
I guess I shouldn't
much.
be surprised. To be honest, I felt like there was something off about you for a while now.
Yeah, but I think the church prefers to work in the shadows.
You were able to decipher the Black Records for one. Your knowledge and abilities go way beyond the average instructors.
Yeah, remember on the first game? Many commented on his proficiency with the Orbital Staff.
But even still, I never would have guessed you were connected to something this large scale. And with all that in mind, what do you want with me? Why tell me all of this now? Have you finally decided to step out from the shadows and interfere?
That's not quite it.
Perish the thought, Reen. What happens in the old schoolhouse is out of our jurisdiction. Always has been.
What is your jurisdiction?
The way things stand brings to mind a few parallels with Liberal's Phantasma trouble, but I doubt this is nearly as dangerous. After we're done here, I'll be glad to let you tackle that on your own. Me, I'm only here for a little talk with you. After all, you are an Awakener, possessor of a fragment of the Great Power. And that means we have matters to discuss. This should come as no surprise, but the trouble facing this land is far from over. Now, it may seem to have passed for now, but this peace is merely a simple respite. The most crucial moment stands silent in the wings, waiting to unfurl before us. The Chancellor never stops spinning his webs, and while he may have repelled Ouroboros for now, they will be back. Mark my words. And there's not a doubt in my mind that you'll have an important role to play in what's to come. That's why I thought it would be worthwhile to make a formal introduction and ask for your cooperation. So, what say you?
Instructor Thomas is kinda good looking if he has that focused eyes.
Sir, if I may, you might want to ease him into this a little more gently. It's quite a lot to take in at once. Reen, I want you to know we're not here to scare you or to make an enemy of you. We don't mean to pressure you into a response either. For now, our intent is just to remain here and keep an eye on things. So if there's ever anything you need our help with, we're here for you. Just ask and we'll do whatever we can.
Thanks, Rosine. You're right, too. This is a lot to take in at once. I'm not really sure how to respond. I guess at the very least, I can tell you're not my enemies. But by the same token, that doesn't necessarily make you my allies either. So, no promises.
I understand completely, Reen. And for the time being, that's perfectly fine. But to return to an earlier topic, those black records you found are actually of particular interest as historical artifacts. As far as I can tell, their purpose was to record the true history of the Divine Knights. Given that recovering artifacts like those is our job, well, if you happen to find any more, do pass them along to us, would you? I'll give you transcripts of everything I can decipher, of course. Given what you've read so far, I'm sure you must be curious.
I'll give it some thought.
Huh?
What? What in the...
Well, do take care, everyone. I'll be praying for you.
Of course you will.
There, see? Achievement unlocked. Scholar of the Truth. Alright. I think there's a scene here once we leave. There.
Are you really sure that was for the best? I'm afraid you might have made him even more wary of us.
Oh, that was exactly my intent. I need him to start acting with a little greater awareness of his place in a world that's more precarious than he takes it for. That is, if we intend to unravel the mysteries of the two septarians that once graced this hallowed land.
Yep.
And beyond that, the secrets of the system fashioned by the witches and gnomes. The 7 divine knights. Osborne being dead set on locking down our activity certainly doesn't help matters either. The Roaring Lion should be able to take care of Western Erebonia on his own.
Yeah, the Roaring Lion is the priest that we were following all over the eastern part of the Empire in one of the episodes.
But there's certainly no harm in working to strengthen our foothold on this side of the Empire as well. Our work will not be easy, Rosine. Be mindful of that.
Yes, sir. Well, if you'll excuse me, the children are waiting.
So there. It just brings up a lot more questions regarding the church. Because as I mentioned, we never heard from them while the Civil War was raging, so what the hell are they doing now? First they sent the Roaring Lion all over the Empire, and now we have this revelation from Instructor Thomas. So, since I played Final Fantasy Tactics, I think it would be better if somebody would keep an eye on the Septian Church. And the mentioned Septarians, yeah, I think those are the two beings from the beginning of time. They are as mentioned here in the Black Records, they're the gods of creation. How they relate to the Divine Knights? Well, I think the Divine Knights are a fragment of the Great Power. How they relate to the bigger picture here in Erebonia and Zemuria, I think Zemuria is the name of the continent, is up in the air. So yeah, that's it for the Black Records, and thankfully I was able to make my own video using a borrowed save file I found on Steam. So yep, that's the Black Records part of the story here. The rant here is because this part of the story is only available in New Game Plus. So you have to finish the game once, replay it again, and once you reach Trista, you should have all 5 books, all 5 records that you can purchase or find anywhere in the map. I really don't know because I just used another person's save file here. So yeah, the rant here is, why is it gatekept behind New Game Plus? I don't know, but thankfully we managed to make a workaround here, and there. So my thoughts on the Black Records here, yeah, as a player of Final Fantasy Tactics, I really do distrust the church. Especially now that, because in the first game, the church, we never heard anything from the church. But now we learned that they are sending, combat priests, the Roaring Lion. And now we have Instructor Thomas here, who seems to be really in the higher up in the secret society of the church. So I wonder, what is their end game? Yeah, because like I mentioned, I don't trust the church in these types of games. So that's my thought on the Black Records. And yeah, I guess that's the one of 2 rants that I have for this game. So the gameplay and the combat here is almost the same as the first game, but now there is an overdrive function added here, wherein whenever you do actions during combat, there's a meter that gets filled, and once it's filled, you and your linked classmate can use the overdrive function, wherein you regain HP, EP, and CP, and you have 3 turns, 3 uninterrupted turns, and your physical attacks will always unbalance the enemy, which will enable you to use link attacks like assist, rush, or burst. And there is no cast delay when you use arts, so you can use your most powerful spell and it will be activated immediately. So that's the overdrive part of combat. That's the only thing added here in combat for the human players. Just remember, at the end of the first game, Divine Knights and the Soul Dots were introduced. These are the game's equivalent to mobile suits, as I call them, or nightmare frames, if we want to reference Code Geass. In the Soul Dot battles, you only get to use Reen, but your classmates and the other members, or your classmates, can use their buff. So, an example here would be, I'll just include a video here of a Soul Dot battle, but the gist of it is, you attack the enemy Soul Dot, find out their weakest part so that they can be unbalanced. If they become unbalanced, you can, like a link attack, you can either assist, you can also, there's the second tier damage, and then there's the full combo with your chosen classmate partner. Your classmate partner has access to buffs that affect your Divine Knight. And also it affects, they have an offensive art available that can do direct damage to enemy Soul Dots. The Divine Knight battles here are, I guess I really like it. I'm not sure. It gets a bit tedious at times, but once you discover the weakest point of the enemy, it's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun battle, and it does break up the monotony of always fighting foot soldiers all the time. But I really enjoyed the additions in combat here, both the humans and the addition of the Soul Dot battles. So I already mentioned the characters here, but aside from Class 7, you also gain access, albeit temporarily, to other members. At the beginning of the game, you have access to Toval, the Arts Master Bracer, and Elise. Later on, it will be expanded to include Sharon, Captain Claire, Instructor Sarah. So so not only is your active party a part of Class 7, you also have access to the Purple Lightning, the Icy Maiden, to the Severing Chains, and of course to Toval, which sadly doesn't have any cool nickname, but what can we do? So you're not stuck with members of Class 7. You have a lot of options to choose from. So that's it. I guess that's it for the story and the characters here. Now the music. I praised the music in the first game. Here, the second game exceeded the greatness of the first game. I will admit I had reservations about the opening. The opening animation when you start the game. But it kind of grew on me, and there are a lot of music here that really got stuck to my head. So you will notice that I'm like the first video debrief for the first game. There's music playing in the background. So those are the music that really stuck to me, and I will be linking them in the description down below if you want to check them out. So what can I say? The second game combines all the good the first game had and really expanded on it. Remember, the first game ended in a massive cliffhanger. Now we have the chance here to obtain some sort of closure And yeah, normally sequels are not as good as the original, but this time the second game hit it right out of the park. Not just in terms of gameplay, but also in terms of strong characters, because you're not stuck with Class 7. You will be recruiting other students from Thor's military academy, and it is interesting to see their backstories. Well, especially for me, since I never interacted with them much in the first game, but yeah, talking to them, the Courageous, opens up more details on their notes. So it also has the expanded and engaging Divine Knight versus Soldat battles, and yeah, as I mentioned, the Black Records being gatekept in New Game Plus, and the final dungeon, the Reverie Corridor, because you will end the game with a very, very big revelation, as in, it's not a cliffhanger, well, maybe it is, but the revelation is comparable to the cliffhanger of the first game. So that's the end. Then you get to play the epilogue, wherein you step forth in Crossbell. Yes, you are in Crossbell. You will be controlling Lloyd Bannings. I think he's the main character for the Crossbell games. So some people might find that interesting, but yeah, about me, since I haven't played the Crossbell arc, then it was just okay for me. Now the issue here is the epilogue is way too long, and the Reverie Corridor that I mentioned, that's the final dungeon. It's 17 dungeons that, well, of course you can rush through it, but as I mentioned in the video, the grind to lore ratio of the Reverie Corridor is not worth it. I don't know why the developers have to include this corridor. Sure, it could be fun if it's an optional corridor, but if you want to finish the game, you have to do this. So yeah, those are just my two rants. The Black Records and the Reverie Corridor. So yeah, that's my debrief for Trails of Cold Steel 2. And much like the first one, I really hope I did the game justice, because as it stands right now, both games, Trails, Cold Steel 1 and Cold Steel 2, is currently my favorite game of all time. Each of them overshadowed Tales of Berseria. And we have the third game, Locked and Loaded. We have the fourth game coming up next year. We have the Trails in the Sky. We have the Crossbell arc. Man, there are a lot of games to play in this franchise that I actually don't know where to start, where to go from here. So yeah, I guess that's it. Hopefully I've made my message clear. Hopefully. So yeah, if you enjoyed this debrief of Trails of Cold Steel 2, hit that like button, and if you wish to be updated on my uploads, hit subscribe and the notification bell. You can also follow me on social media. Links will be in the description down below. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I think I forgot to give my recommendation. Play the first game, then jump straight to the second game, even if you haven't played the previous series in the franchise. So you can start with Cold Steel 1 and Cold Steel 2, even if you haven't played Trails in the Sky and the Crossbell arc. You will not be disappointed. You will get your money's worth, and of course, much like the first game, this one goes on sale regularly. So yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.